Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask? Hmm. If you ask questions, it really inspires me to reach deep in myself to come up with sometimes answers that even amaze me.
Stuart,
Yes.
Kenny, um, how is it best to work with illness?
Uh,
Did you hear?
yeah, I heard, I mean, I'm not a doctor. How is it best to work with? I mean, I think a lot of illness, I'm not talking about serious illness, I'm talking about flus and yeah, the system is releasing poisons, getting rid of stuff that could have been buried in there for God knows how long, buried inside. And the best thing you should do is relax and let your system take care of what it's taking care of. Don't get full of anxiety and this and that and the other and fear and you know uh, a lot of times, like even COVID, it could be the release of very deep poison inside a person, deep tension. And I wouldn't at that point do, intense things. I would just really relax as deeply as possible, get some bed rest and read a book and watch a TV show and let your system work itself out. Let all of that poison come out. Let all of that tension come out of you. Things that are buried, often very deep inside. As they come to the surface, they can cause illness, cause a breakdown in one system. But it's really not negative. It's just stuff coming out, stuff getting rid of that you have to get rid of, in order to grow inside. I mean, if it's a serious illness, you see a doctor. If it's I don't want to get into serious illnesses, but there are things that, the medical world can take care of and help you with. So it really depends upon what's wrong. I mean, I had a hernia and I had to go to a doctor. They know how to take care of it. So they did a very minor operation and it's gone. And I know when I get flus and things like that, I just rest. I just take it easy, rest, and let that negative energy, that poison, whatever it is, get flushed out of my system. I mean, in the book I wrote, Leah, I mean, that was serious illness. The people in the medical world said there's nothing they can do. She has 3 weeks to live. And, what happened was that in order to deal with that circumstance, I had to go so deep inside myself that I discovered things that were like miraculous about, this about the makeup, the anatomy, the spiritual anatomy of a human being. And what I discovered, because of going deep enough in myself, was how to help alleviate those things and, bring her out of it. Where the doctors didn't, they said, well, there's nothing we can do. She has 3 weeks, so they really gave her a death sentence. And then 6 months later, they said, oh my God, this tumor has shrunk. It's this and that. And I think we can operate now. And they came out of the operating room dancing. The doctor was literally dancing. We got the whole thing. It's a miracle. But that was a different circumstance. It's not getting a flu or, a case of COVID or, some kind of a virus. A whole different circumstance that demanded a different way of looking at medicine and healing.
Is it helpful to do the negative tension release exercise a lot
It's
when you're
helpful to
sick?
do that no matter what the circumstance. Yes, yes, it's helpful. That's, look, you get rid of surface tension, it gives your body, your mind, your whole inner life a chance to rest. Stops the mind from thinking so much, and you can just quiet yourself down inside. Let you heal up. I mean, I'm not a big fan of doctors, I really don't like to go to doctors. But, sometimes it's necessary. I don't think what you have, Kenny, is necessary. You look fine, and in a couple of days it'll go away. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stuart,
Yes?
um, when did you realize what happens in your life was a mirror of what's going on inside?
I don't know the exact date, Larry, but it just happened. All of a sudden, I just realized that whatever I see in the world is a reflection of me. Whatever I focus on is a reflection of me. And it just, one day, it was this amazing realization. And it enabled me to stop complaining. Well, I do a little bit, but not a lot about life. It enabled me to accept life as my teacher. It enabled me to bow to life and understand that it has enormous, it's been around here a lot longer than me. And it has enormous amount to teach us about what we have to do to learn two things. One, how to become more human. And secondly, how to have a spiritual life. But when that happened, it happened. I don't know. Just one day I began to see the world differently. And it was a byproduct of doing so many years of work on my chakra system and developing it to the point where I was able to see life that way. No longer intimidated me. I no longer got really upset about it, a little bit sometimes when there's really bullshit, But then I say, Stuart, it's your bullshit that you're getting upset about. Otherwise, you wouldn't be seeing this. You wouldn't be attracting this. I mean, all these wars that are going on now, they're a manifestation of the wars that are going on inside of every human being. That's what they are. It's like a movie. One's own inner life being reflected in the world. And if people would change inside, I say this all the time, I'm tired of saying it. If people would change inside, I mean, look, the whole nature of life would change. Instead of fighting, people would give each other food and nurturing and sit around, play pinochle together and have little parties and discover that, one religion is not an adverse to another. They all come from the same goddamn place. But anyway, it took me a long time to realize this. It really did. It wasn't something I knew. I used to hear Rudy talk about it, but I used to hear him talk about a lot of things that it took me 10 years to learn the teaching. The guru, if anyone ever asks you who the guru is life. It took me 20 years to truly understand what he was saying. Because I had to fix me inside. I had to get to the place where I could bow to life, where life became my teacher, where I wasn't fighting with life and arguing with it, knowing better than it, but letting it took years to just readapt my chemistry inside to be able to do stuff like that. A lot of his teachings took time to truly learn what he was teaching. A lot of the things I talk about will take time for people to learn. And it's just a matter of committing to doing deep spiritual practice and having the patience to allow your inner life to readapt itself to the way you look at the world. But when it happened, I don't know. I mean, a lot of things happened to me. I don't even know they're happening. I only find out like 6 months later that they happened. And I really mean that. It's true. They happen. I mean, this whole thing about Tantra I'm writing, who the hell knew when it happened? It happened one day. And all of a sudden it's coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, look at all this stuff. It's coming out. So the answer to that question is, if you truly commit yourself to having a spiritual life and you do every day of your life deep inner work to make it happen, these things will just organically happen for you. They will just happen. They're the gifts of God. They just happen. And you won't even know when. One day you're looking at the world. One day you're using your hands to heal people. How the hell did that happen?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome, Larry. Very good question. Both questions are very good. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? And just to finish this, one of the things I always say is spiritual people, enlightened people don't know they're enlightened. They just live that way. To them, it's not enlightenment. They just live that way. And they become children of God living in the world. And they just live. It's just part of their life, the way they interact with people and life and God and spirit and having compassion and consciousness. And they also make mistakes, like everyone. I always say, if anyone ever tells you they're enlightened, just go in the opposite direction. It's a lot of spiritual ego talking and wanting attention, But Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation on Tuesday. Once again, you're probably tired of hearing it, but I will say it once again. Thank you. God bless you all. I mean, your presence is teaching me a great deal. I told you, you all are my teacher. Your presence here is teaching me a great deal. So thank you and bless you. And there'll be class Tuesday. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
God
Stuart.
bless you too.
Thank you.